Hi, everybody. My name's Tom Bestai. So I'm the Managing Director of the Design Fabrication Zone. And we're very pleased to partner this evening with the Toronto Society of Architects to bring you this evening's forum, New Design and Technology Synergies.
Which is this idea of virtually designing, but then also testing and fabricating components at not just the scale of, say, the size of your fist or a 10 by 10 by 12 bin of 3D printing material, but at the scale of a human being of like 10 by 12 by 15 feet, right? Computation is a great thing. It really has no bounds, and it kind of has a mind of its own. But what you need to know is that people need to understand process, right? You need to understand physical material. So if you're working with something like glue laminated timber, which is an extruded object, you have a couple of options. You can only really ever bend in one direction unless you twist, and twisting usually requires another method of creation, which is, other than laminating layers of timber together, you take a solid block of material and you mill away. And so I think right now it's a huge challenge in terms of moving forward to actually employ these things at that really large scale. Certainly at a smaller scale, or even, you know, like a 50,000 square foot building or something like that, or 100,000 is doable. But once you get to like the super scale, where, you know, some of these P3s that some people kind of cringe at and they think, P3, these are some of the things that could actually benefit hugely from the ideas of like what you were showing with, you know, mass fabricated 3D concrete structures, where you could economize on like all of the connections, reduce the weight of concrete, which would have a huge effect on something of that scale.
Thinking specifically about the associations and about the professions, like, are they too far gone? Are they kind of ossified in this country? Or can we kind of bring some of these new techniques into play?
The OEA, for its part, made a great sort of kind of like reaching out to us and kind of strategizing, bringing people like Martin Rees. I think Tom showed some of his work there on the Zaha building there, and kind of trying to engage this idea of kind of closer collaboration, which I believe is the beginning of you know, this VDC initiative, which I think is very huge because it incorporates things like AR and VR into the process of design, which is kind of, I think, the next phase of where the profession is going. But it's absolutely within everybody's reach to just do this. All it requires is a little bit changing direction and a pivot, as opposed to an about face. I just wanted to talk about, so because I teach at Ryerson, there's an element of kind of education that I guess I bring back to our office. And what we've started doing is just that, every studio is, well, almost every studio is outfit with 3D printing and laser cutting facilities. And we have internal initiatives where we basically hold workshops across a series of 3 days, and they're all project driven. And so we gather teams. You're allowed to pick whoever you want from any office, any discipline, and this is part of that whole interdisciplinary thing, because we have engineers, mechanical, electrical. So we get everyone together. Some of the times it you know, involves Arduino boards and Raspberry Pis and 3D printing and laser cutting, and you come up with basically you spend 2 days working your butt off without sleep, and then the third day you present to 700 people over you know, our internal video conferencing system. From another perspective, like I was just saying, a big box store, is that we also do projects which are kind of like spec industrial. Okay, so they're kind of boring. But what we're trying to figure out is, how can we enhance and deliver something that is more comprehensive and in line with that idea of that more nonlinear process. And where we're starting to find that kind of takes hold is in embedding computation in the process. So we'll find that we actually have certain modules and typical scenarios and sets of rules where we can literally build and deploy an entire drawing set from start to finish with clicking a mouse like 25 times, not even having to draw. It literally will produce an entire set of drawings from a collection of parts that we can assemble.